If you've been using dumbbells, kettlebells, or other equipment like that in order to do your squats, or maybe you just want to improve your barbell squat form, this video is going to be for you. Today we're going to go over how to do barbell back squats. Hi, I'm Catherine. I'm the personal trainer and running coach at Kathletics. Here at Kathletics, we're all about meeting you where you are in your fitness so you can approach hybrid training in a sustainable way. Before we get into barbell squats, we want to make sure that we're properly warming up. So a couple things that I'd recommend is to start off with some cat-cow, so getting onto all fours, curving the upper back, and then dropping down. This one you might want to do about 6 to 8 reps. Then we also want to make sure that we're getting into the hips. One exercise that I really enjoy or that I program for some of my clients are hip airplanes. So you're going to keep one foot planted on the ground, hinge, open at the hip, and then internally rotate toward that hip. And then we're going to stand. So you'll do about 5 reps on each side for those. Another thing that you could consider doing would be squat walk downs, where you're going to have a post, or you can use the squat rack for this. You're going to get into a squat position, walk those hands down, get into a squat, and then walk the hands back up for some support. Again, you might want to think about doing about 8 reps of those as well. So once you've gotten through that, I would consider doing a little bit of core, so something like bird dogs, dead bugs, along those lines for some core stability before we get into the main movement. Now for the part that you've been waiting for, the barbell squats. So when you're setting up for barbell squat, you want to set up these J hooks so it meets right at the middle of your shoulder. So now, as you can see, as I'm standing next to the barbell is right at my mid shoulder. Now we don't want it too high. If I had it one higher, just because when I unrack the bar, then I'm gonna have to go up on my tippy toes, and it's just a little bit more uncomfortable. Whereas if you have it too low, then you're doing, a quarter to half squat in order to just get up out of the squat rack. So that's not necessarily what we're looking for. We don't want to have to waste more energy in order to get underneath the bar and start squatting. Now, assuming that you're doing this exercise in a gym setting where you can actually be in a squat rack, I would recommend setting up the safety bars at a reasonable height, so then when you're in the bottom of the squat, if you do need to fail that lift, you can get out of it without having to be concerned if there is a safety bar there. Now, since I don't have safety bars here, that is okay, but it's just something to keep in mind when you are doing your squat. Especially if you are newer to the movement, I do recommend having the safety bar there, again, just so you have it as a backup plan. So when you're setting up for the barbell back squat, you want to consider what kind of barbell you have. So the barbell that I have has knurling that starts right here, and then it has 2 little bridges as well to break it up. So those are helpful for various barbell lifts, but for today, I aim to grab at that first knurling. Now, that doesn't mean you can't grab out here. It is going to depend a little bit on your shoulder mobility. So you may find yourself grabbing further out, and that's fine. But maybe over time, we start to get it to be a little bit closer as you progress in your shoulder mobility. So what I'm going to do is grab on that knurling spot on both sides. You want to make sure you have a good grip on the bar before you come up underneath the barbell. From here, I'm going to find the spot on my upper traps where there's already a shelf there. So I'm not going to set it on my neck. I'm not going to set it down super low. Although there is a difference between high bar and low bar for today's video, I am going to show you high bar. So again, we're finding that shelf at the top of your traps. And we want to tighten the bar up against the body. So again, really paying attention to that grip. I like to have my thumbs over, but you can absolutely have your thumbs tucked in and gripped around the bar. So I have mine over. I have my back really tight. I'm going to inhale, big inhale, and brace my core before I lift off. And then I'm going to take 1-2 steps back into my squat position. Now, as you are getting into barbell squatting, you might have to find what squat position works best for you and your feet, what stance works for you. This is something that hopefully you have dialed in a little bit with the goblet squats or the dumbbell squats, whatever that has looked like for you. But overall, we want to shorten that time. So when we're underneath the bar, we're not salsa dancing in order to get into that barbell squat position. So once you have lifted off of the rack and you've stepped 1, 2 back, of course, if you need to adjust your foot a little bit, that's okay. But what we're not looking for is that I don't know where to go position. So trying to find that initial position. I like to angle my toes slightly out. I recommend that for you as well, but it's also okay if they're straight forward. I do better with toes slightly angled out. Again, bracing the core, big inhale, brace here, and then lower down into the squat. When you're in the squat, you want to make sure that your knees are tracking in line with your second and third toes. One thing you'll want to keep in mind when squatting is that when you inhale at the beginning, you're holding your breath to brace all the way down. So inhale, hold, exhale at the top. Big inhale, hold, exhale at the top. Then when you're done with the squat, you're going to 1, 2, slam it into the rack, and then let it slide down. This is going to limit any extra energy that is expended just by having those 1, 2 steps. And you're going to know that you only need to take those 2 steps because we only took 2 steps back to get into that squat position, right? So you're going to take 1, 2 step, slam the barbell in, and let it slide into that resting position. If you're having a harder time getting to a lower depth, that's something you can work on over time with your ankle mobility, your hip mobility. But something you can do in addition to that is grab a couple plates, set those on the ground. So I've got 2 5-pound plates here. You could do something up to the 25-pound plates. I don't necessarily think I would recommend going much higher than the 25-pound plates at this time, but we can go ahead and set these down on the ground. Try to find that position where you feel most comfortable squatting. And this is going to eliminate some of that ankle mobility. So if that is part of where you're struggling to get into that depth, eliminating that can be helpful for getting into a deeper squat. So what that would look like, still getting into the same position here. Finding those plates, I set them back a little bit further than I needed to. Again, inhale. And now I can get a little bit deeper into the squat than what I was doing without the wedges underneath my feet. Overall, hopefully you found this video helpful for getting into your barbell back squat. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, be sure to like, subscribe, and then we'll see you in the next one.